Nick Sirianni wants to work on the details. That was a quote from him. A lot of weird little quotes leaking out from camp, from the mini camp. It's a weird little thing to tell stories of what happened last year for the Eagles. So we're going to talk Eagles, day 2 of the mandatory mini camp. NBA Finals start tonight. We'll make a prediction there. Phillies finish the sweep of the Brewers. Does that count? All that. Sixers, Joel Embiid, maybe getting an extension soon. So much to talk about, as always. We're taking your thoughts and opinions right here on Training the AM, and we're live in 60 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You know the drill. Wherever you are watching, hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button, that follow button, whatever button you could do to get as many people into the show, to find the show. Look, guys, there's a lot of controversy surrounding Philly media again and the big boys that are doing this and that and whatnot, arguing. But no, you don't got to worry about them. Focus on us. Edge of Philly Sports, the #1 Philadelphia morning YouTube channel there is. This is the #1 morning show there is. No drama here. Just fun, quality discussions of whatever topics you want to talk about. Because that's what we do here. We cover the topics. I am, as Eric always says, I am the gatekeeper. I just set the tone for the show, and I let you guys dictate where the show goes. And if you're ever new to the show, oh my God, you have no idea where this show will go on a regular basis. Guys, I am Phil Stiefel, your host always. You can find me on all social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge. If I'm on it, that is how you find me and my great non-show content. Just my regular content. So with that being said, let's get into it today. Oh, all right off the bat. What are the excuses for Philly's first place record now? Jeez. I mean, I love the name. Jeez. Yeah. Exactly. Do those wins count, Jeez? Do they? Do they count? I mean, the Brewers are a first place team, had been winning. I think they were on a 5-game winning streak before they came to Philly. And guess what? They score 2 runs in the entire series. Now, I know we didn't score too many either. What are the excuses? Aaron Nola straight filthy yesterday. Filthy. 7 more shutout innings from that man. I made a joke on Twitter yesterday, and if you follow me, you know, geez, that's at Beard and Knowledge, that could the Phillies have 5 guys finish in the top 5 of Cy Young voting? We got lots of Eagles to talk about. We got lots of Sixers, but G's coming right out of the bat with some Phillies conversation. So I want to dive into that right off the bat. I mean, Aaron Nola, 2.77 ERA. Zach Wheeler, like -2 ERA. Ranger Suarez, we know what he's doing. He looks good. He still is on track to pitch in London, which we're going to talk a lot about the London series tomorrow. Just going to say that. Not a fan of it. But Rangers looking great. Christopher Sanchez, I asked on Twitter yesterday, what is his ceiling? Like, I can't expect Christopher Sanchez to keep pitching at a sub-3 ERA. I keep worrying that the wheels are going to off. But maybe they won't. You got Strom, Alvarado, Hoffman, lights out of the bullpen. Sir Anthony Dominguez has only given up 1 run in his last 14 outings out of the bullpen, taking his ERA from north of 9.5 to almost below 5. Bet you one more shutout inning from Dominguez, and it'll be below 5. I mean, what else does this team got to do to prove that they are the real deal? I'm not sure. That's right, sweep, baby. Sweep. Not just winning. I said, what were they going to be over that 14-game stretch that started with the Brewers? I said, could they go 9-5? Well, they've already started out 3-0. So they are definitely on track there. I'm not a fan of the London series either, but if anyone can turn London into baseball fans, it's Drunk Phillies fans. Stay tuned for that because there's a lot I want to dive into in the London series. I'm gonna spend a lot of tomorrow's show on the London series and how I'm just not a fan of it. We'll bring that up tomorrow. What up, Eden the Remix? Sirianni ruined his reputation by not allowing Brian Johnson to run his offense. This season, he is going to impose his will by trying to teach college seniors the importance of cursive. I don't know, but I think Eden is saying something negative about Nick Sirianni there. I don't think that's a compliment to Nick Sirianni. There were a lot of weird comments coming out of player and coaches' press conferences in the last 2 days. Nick Sirianni's talking about details. Brandon Graham's quote is crazy. Last year, we didn't have the right coaches in the right places, but Howie fixed it. That was really, really interesting. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, very vocal, putting out a tweet saying, ain't here to I can't even read my own ain't here to make friends, ain't back to make friends. I'm here to set the tone or something like that. I can't read my own handwriting on that. These quotes are really weird. Oh, I already put that one up there. Eric saying, I work with a Mets fan from Long Island. He talked about his team, and I walk up and say, how my Phillies doing? He gives me the bird. Bitter-ass Mets fans. Good morning, Adam. How you doing? That's right. Ring that damn bell. My guess, Eden, is you weren't thinking too glowingly positive about Nick Sirianni. But I think the question is, was it Nick Sirianni? Was it the assistant coaches? Or who was to blame the most? BG just saying what we already knew. Yeah, absolutely. But what I disagree with is that Sirianni, the rest of the statement, like not allowing Brian Johnson to run his offense, and he is taking control. We all know Nick Sirianni has less control now than ever before. Play calling, offensive design, those kind of things. We already know that. He's definitely not in as much control as last year, Eden. That's just what I want to throw out there. The fact that Brandon Graham said that Howie fixed the coaching problem this offseason, not saying Nick Sirianni did or Sirianni and Roseman did. I think that Brandon Graham quote is so telling of where this Eagles team is now, who's in control. And look, I'm okay with Nick Sirianni being back. I'm okay with the delegator as head coach. I'm okay with all that in theory, as long as he and the coordinators are on the same page of the big picture goals. But I wonder, and we talked about this as the season ended, as the season was ending, did Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, did anybody lose the locker room? And I wonder, I keep thinking about this Brandon Graham quote. Again, last year we didn't have the right coaches in the right places. How he fixed it. I wonder if there's any. There's always one or two players, a very small percentage of players that don't like their head coach or don't get along with him. I wonder if he really truly, Nick Sirianni, lost the locker room, and he's only here because he's placating to Howie Roseman's demands of being the real boss of this team, the final boss. Like, it just didn't, the Brandon Graham quote didn't sit right with me on the confidence the team has in Nick Sirianni. It's really weird. I'd be bitter if I was a Mets fan too, yeah. It's Mets fans, it's 49ers fans, it's Cowboys fans, Knicks fans. We hate them all, right? I mean, they're all bitter. All bitter. All bitter. Phil through the looking glass. What? Send me pictures of how you guys watch trending in the AM. I saw my man Steve here from EOP, the attacking third. He's going to be guesting on Fairway to Heaven again next week with me and Jason. He shared a picture of watching it on the big. Who watches us on the big screen? Like, I don't need to be on no 50-inch TV while you're watching the morning show. Like, I think that, to me, I've seen people send me pictures of them watching me on their big screen TVs with their coffee or their drinks at night. And it just, but my man George did it ages ago. Sent me a picture with his pint glass because he lives over in England. You know, his pint glass and train the AM on the big screen. I'm like, it's weird to me. Who wants to see this ugly mug on a big screen? Is this the straw for Sirianni if it doesn't all work out? Absolutely, Adam. He's going to get the whole season. There are people, and there's a big group of people that think he's got like a 6-week short leash. Disagree. I don't think he's got a short leash of 6 weeks. Now, come week 12, if we're like 4-8, yeah, sure, he might go. But the bye week being early in the season is detrimental to the Eagles' philosophy of, if they want, of any football team's philosophy. If you're going to fire a head coach, you do it during the bye week. Gives you more time to, do your thing and adjust. I highly doubt Nick Sirianni's on a short leash. He is on a leash till the end of the season. This team is too talented, no matter how bad their coach is, to, they're too good to go 4-8 or 3-9 or anything like that. They're going to make the playoffs. Do they dominate on the way to the playoffs and get to the championship game again, or do they fall short in the first round? And depending on the playoff results, then Sirianni could be out at the end of the year. Maybe that's when Jeffrey Lurie tells Howie, go get Bill Belichick. I think Sirianni lost the locker room the last handful of games and that losing streak. There is that argument to be made. But then this season, you heard a lot of leaders stand up for him, speak up for him, and that kind of stuff. So I kind of went against that philosophy for a little bit, thinking maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe they didn't lose the locker room. Maybe. Could be totally wrong there. But if he did lose the locker room, he wouldn't. If he did completely lose the locker room, he wouldn't have been back. Whenever a coach has lost the locker room, you're gone. And the GM, the owner, they all see that. Is my mic okay today? Me and Big Al tested like 100 things out, and it was perfectly fine yesterday after the show. During the show, something happened. But after the show, it was perfectly fine. Who the hell knows what happened yesterday? Nick definitely lost the locker room. Players are letting you know in their quotes. BG and Smitty. I missed Smitty's quote. I had a very busy day yesterday. Doing things with my, playing baseball and basketball with my nephew for 3 hours. I think I need Tommy John surgery after throwing 2 hours of pop flies to him to work on his outfield play. So I missed the Smitty quote. But if he completely lost it, you really think they would have brought him back if everybody had completely lost it with him? I don't know. My brother-in-law is a Mets and Falcons fan. How do you become a Mets fan and an Atlanta Falcons fan? That's like Cowboys fans being late. It's like the Temu version of Cowboys/Lakers fans, Mets/Falcons fans. Might actually be a step below Temu. Cool, insulting your fans. Who's insulting your fans? I'm not insulting nobody. Brandon has nothing to lose. He is retiring, so I believe he spoke on it to give insight to what happened last year. I love that he's very openly admitted this is it. This is my farewell tour. And on a side note, has there ever been somebody that Philly sports fans have labeled a bust as quickly as Brandon Graham that has turned their career around to the fact that Brandon Graham will be in the Eagles Hall of Fame? Brandon Graham's number may be retired after his career, at least in that it's not retired, but you can't wear it. Brandon Graham went from the biggest bust of all time to one of the greatest Eagles of all time. Can anybody on a side tangent give me somebody else in all Philly sports that was that big of a bust that turned it around that much in Philly? Big Deebs enjoying his W. No. I'm always the one winning. We'll watch your ugly mud on any screen. Yeah, is that right? Audio's good today? That's what I like to hear. Who the hell knows what happened yesterday? Audio's fine. I don't touch any settings. I barely touched the board outside the power button. Something went wrong yesterday. Who knows? Smitty said something on the lines of the wide receivers have more freedom and they're allowed to do more things. That could be a knock on Sirianni for sure. That could be a knock on Brian Johnson. It could be just a knock on the offense in general. And you see lots going on in these mandatory camps with these mini camps with the wide receivers. Lots of jet sweeps, lots of motion. You see John Ross and Nia Smith and everybody getting chances. Paris Campbell in the slot. You see A.J. Brown and Smitty in the slot. You're seeing a lot of you're not seeing. We're hearing from the reporters, from the beat guys. And again, as always, I like to shout out who does great work. And I always shout out Chris Franklin, Ed Kratz, and Martin Frank is my favorite three beat guys that are there every single practice, all off season long. And we hate ESP, but he does give some good reports from camp. So you can hate him as the person. And what he did to Djax, won't apologize to Djax, but you can still follow him for great camp coverage. My allergies are killing me, guys. I'm just going to tell you, if I don't sneeze like 3 times on this show, I think something's wrong. If Westbrook's number was used again, so can Graham's. That's true. That's true. But Brandon Graham won the Super Bowl. Jeez. Not just won the Super Bowl, but was critical in winning that Super Bowl. Not only that, made one of the winning plays of that Super Bowl. So there's a little, I love Brian Westbrook. Don't get me wrong. This is not a knock on Brian Westbrook. But if you got to rate the 10 greatest Eagles, and if Brian Westbrook was 5, you got to put Brandon Graham 4. And I'm not saying that is just because they're equal in my mind in greatness. Brandon Graham's got that title. Brandon Graham definitely is Philly tough. He took a lot of abuse for not being Earl Thomas. Absolutely. And honestly, I think it worked out pretty well for both teams in general. Earl Thomas won a Super Bowl. He was there when they won one of their Super Bowls. Brandon Graham won a Super Bowl. This will be his 15th year with the Eagles? Still, though, something bothers me about that quote from him. And I get the comments said before that, he don't care. He's retiring. And I love that. And he's getting the victory tour. I get it. I love it. But also, this team is void of leadership, losing 2 of their greatest leaders of all time in Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey. And Fletcher Cox was at mandatory camp, just so you know. But we are void of leaders on this team, especially on defense. Carter and Davis have already said they want to be the leaders, but they're not there yet. Brandon Graham should be setting that example to an extent and say, last year was bad, but we have all the confidence that this year we've got it right. Or when he says how we fixed it, that means Nick Sirianni has no power. Say Howie and Nick made improvement. Choose your words wisely, carefully. It did pan out. The Brandon Graham and Earl Thomas stuff for both teams. But I don't remember, and I've been thinking hard about this. I mean, who else has been such a bust that's turned it around? Like, I'm thinking nobody on any of the last 10 or 15 years of Eagles or Phillies, nobody as big as Brandon Graham on the Eagles. Sixers wise, Ben Simmons never turned it around. Fultz never turned it around here, really. You know, I don't know. I mean, some of the busts that we labeled early in Sixers careers, like the Turners of the world, the Michael Carter Williams of the world. I never got to talk about that. I got to go back and reread that. Michael Carter Williams had a pretty big in-depth interview. I don't know if it was ESPN or Sports Illustrated or the player control thing about his demons and his career. It was a really interesting read. We kind of forget sometimes that these athletes, when we crush them for being busts, we kind of forget that they are human beings. Yeah, they're in the spotlight. Yeah, they're making millions and millions of dollars to play a game, but they are human beings. Totally off topic, but am I losing my mind, or did I read something yesterday that Michkov might be arriving sooner than originally thought? About 2 weeks ago, I changed the color scheme of this show to orange because we were on the Michkov watch. That's what's going to bring my Flyers passion back to the forefront. And the rumor has been now for about 2 weeks that there seems to be some work being done to get him out of his contract in the KHL and get him over here for this year. If you look at the thumbnail, well, you're on Twitter, so thumbnails don't pop up. On YouTube, the Edge of Philly YouTube page, if you look at the thumbnail of the show, every single day for the last 2 weeks, there's been a little mini Michkov hidden in the corner somewhere. I move it around every show. Can't wait for him to be here. I can't wait for Flyers hockey. And I said this 2 weeks ago when this rumor first started. Maybe it's been 3 weeks now, actually. That I'm getting the butterflies for the Flyers like I did when we traded for Eric Lindros, when we traded Peter Forsberg for him. I don't know, you might be too old to remember that feeling. I'm getting those butterflies. Eden has a question. I have a question for you. Do you think Kelsey and Cox would have chosen to come back if the Eagles had a more stable head coaching situation? And that's something, it's a very interesting question. Very interesting question. And I don't know the answer to that, Eden, at all. That's something that 10, 15 years from now, maybe there'll be an ESPN 30 for 30 on this. I don't know. I think Kelsey was, I would almost say Kelsey would have been more likely maybe one more year. Because Kelsey was broken down. Kelsey was still playing at a high level. And he wanted one more Super Bowl really bad. And you hate to go out losing 6 of 7 or 7 of 8 to end your Hall of Fame career. But I really, truly feel Fletcher Cox's body was completely in shambles and broken down. Fletcher Cox was playing really well, still at the end of his career. I think Fletcher Cox could still go. So I'm not sure. The fact that Cox is still hanging around makes me think no. Got to be invited back. He's not going to just show up. And Kelsey, I really, truly think his body was completely toast at that point. And maybe it had maybe he was 98% out the door retiring. And then the coaching situation, not just the head coach, because we put it all on Nick Sirianni for sure. And rightfully so, he's the head coach. Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, all stunk up the system last year as coaches. The whole team did. Okay. Maybe he was 98% retired, and then the coaches were the final 2% that pushed him over the ledge. Maybe. Phil is totally on the Michkov train. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I be on the Michkov train? You know, it's the most exciting thing that happened to the Flyers in 15 years, 10 years. It really is. I mean, I have no idea why anybody wouldn't be excited for this to happen. I'm with you on the butterflies. Feels like Ed Snyder would be proud of what Jonesy and Briere have done. I've been a fan since Hextall, Russell days. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching Flyers hockey since I was a little kid. Second sporting event, my first baseball game was in '86. I think '88 was my first hockey game. 88 or 89. I was curious about the Jonesy and Briere hires, whether they work out. Because for so long, through the 90s and early 2000s, we complained the Flyers kept it all in-house under Ed Snyder. Bobby Clark's of the world, guys that played here or coached here became, general managers and players became. It was always a former Flyer was doing a Flyer's job in the front office or coaching. And everybody always wanted to look outside the box. They did look outside the box. It didn't work out. And now they're back to going in-house. Jonesy, a former player and a Philly, media member. Briere, former player, was a hot shot candidate to be GMs all across the league. Briere and Jonesy, they're all on the same page. They got a plan. They're not calling it the process, so they're not going to get kicked out by the league. Michael Carter-Williams' Demons was a 15-foot elbow jumper. While that's funny, Eric, and I'll try to find it. I'm going to write it down. MCW article. And I'll try to share it tomorrow or on my Twitter page or Facebook page. And we like to make jokes, but when you see and read the story of, the mental stuff he went through from the criticism he faced, not being mature enough to handle the criticism, the fact that Michael Carter-Williams contemplated suicide and things like that, battled injuries, fought through injuries to try to play, to make a name for himself, almost lost his wife and daughter. The jokes stop when players open up and are honest about the demons and the struggles that they're having with being famous, being sort of famous, being halfway famous, whatever you want to call it. And, fans in general, not just Philly fans, are very harsh on their players in their cities, the major cities. I'm sure no one in Oakland even knows who half the Oakland A's are. Nobody knows in New York who half the Mets are, so whatever. But, I kind of felt a little something for Michael Carter-Williams after I read that article. Those in-depth player pieces, when they really open up and talk about their backgrounds, it's really, really, it makes me want to do things differently, which is what I try to do here anyway, is be different, be positive, give you guys a platform, give you guys a voice. No beefs here. You got the Cone guy and the Eskin guy battling out, duking it out on social media yesterday. No beefs from this guy. I've settled all family business. There ain't no beefs. Well, there might be one or two old beefs that haven't been settled, but I just ignore them. But it's no beefs. I agree. Can't wait to hear about Ben Simmons. I'm sure he's been through a lot getting it on a global level. Yeah, I mean, I forget where I was or who I was talking with. It was on Twitter on the show. I don't even remember. But someone commented on Ben Simmons and his fake, mental health issues that he had with the Sixers. And maybe he faked it, maybe he didn't. I like to think that he didn't. I like to hope that he didn't. But I'm sure Ben Simmons, I don't know if he's ever been on a suicide watch or anything like that. But I'm guaranteed he has depression issues. You can't be in the limelight as much as he is and not hear the negativity. And that negativity, we think it bounces off their shoulders, but it's tough. It's extremely tough. Lindros was a beast. He was a great player. Clark just picked at him badly. It almost seemed as if Clark was trying to get the fans to hate him. Clark was the legend, but the Legion was the Legion of, what was it, the Legion of Doom? Legion of Doom, I think is what they called it. Him, Leclerc, and Renberg. Lindros' big issue was the concussion. Once he started getting concussions, he couldn't really, he really couldn't overcome. He did go on to play at the Rangers. I think he even won a cup, didn't he? Later in his career. But I still remember the day. I remember where I was. I think it was Stan Hockman on WIP. I was listening to his show with my dad in the car. We were delivering papers. And I remember the news that Lindros, was traded for Peter Forsberg. I love it. I loved it. It got me excited. Lindros was the Magic Johnson with the puck. Yeah, absolutely. Our fan base gave Embiid Bell's palsy, for God's sake, and we love the big guy for the most part. You're blaming the fans? Are you some media guy now? Stirring up controversy? Because that's what they do. And with that being said, these players, when they stir up media, when the media stirs up the controversy, fake controversy, you know what they should do, Eric? They should defend themselves. And you know how you defend yourself, Eric? You know how you do it? You know how you defend yourself? You call my friend David R. Cherry, the Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a meter, vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by fans hazing you, call David R. Cherry, the Cherry Law Firm. He's here to fight for you and get you what you deserve. If you've been seriously injured in the state of Pennsylvania by the negligence of another, or if you have any questions, give him a call, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Don't hesitate to call. Again, that number, 610-565-0300, cherryinjurylaw.com. Make sure you let them know you heard about them right here on Trending in the AM on Edge of Philly Sports. And I know you guys just love the way that I just segued right into ad read number one, because that is what you do. That is what you do. And I talk about media, going overboard with these things. Ben Simmons went through the same thing Nick Anderson went through when he missed free throws in the finals with the Magic. He never recovered. Same thing that a lot of, before the age of social media. I remember after the 93 World Series, the fans were finding Mitch Williams' home telephone number, calling and leaving death threats on his answering machine for throwing that pitch to Joe Carter. Fans are brutal. And it happens in Philly. It happens everywhere. Mitch Williams wasn't leaving Philly after the 93 World Series. He had to leave Philly because of the fan base. And whether it's the fans stirring it up or the media, again, you got Spike Exkin and Nick Picone battling out, duking it out. Team WIP versus Team the Fanatic. I'll take the Fanatic team any day. Not the Fanatic. Fox the Gambler, my bad. I'll take Fox the Gambler any day. Sean Bryce and his crew, they're good. A lot of them have appeared on this show on a regular basis. Luke Arcaney, Sean Bernard, Sean Bryce has been on this show. The media and the fans, they stir up these things, and it affects the players. You see Dan Sillyman trying to stir trouble up with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson already. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's out there saying, I'm not here. I'm not back to make friends. And again, I still can't read my notes here. I'm not back to be liked. I'm back to win and lead and set the example. Why? Why is Dan Sillyman, trying to stir something up? And he quote tweets Chauncey's tweet by saying, already trouble in paradise, or whatever the hell he said. Just trying to clickbait, stir up trouble. It's ludicrous. I want Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being that vocal leader on the back end of the defense. The best leaders our defense have been safeties. Brian Dawkins, Malcolm Jenkins, Andre Waters. Some of the best leaders. Because obviously Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox are as well. But you got Silly Man out there trying so hard to stir up problems. You got Eskin and Picone stirring a problem. Why can't we just all be happy and get along? So just so you know, I did nothing and it stopped working. I did nothing and it started working again. No clue. No clue in the world what the hell happened to yesterday's microphone. Lindros would have gotten maximum compensation. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mitchie Poo. Salute. Good morning. How are you? Crazy. I remember that too. I'm sorry. I fall behind on comments, so I don't know which comment you're talking about. I'm going backwards here. Which I don't remember. Are you talking about the Williams getting death threats after the 93 World Series? Seriously. Like now you could just Google search and get anybody's phone number if you want. I'm sure you can find my phone number if you wanted to. I won't answer it, but you could. They found Mitchie Poo's number. And it's funny. Now looking back on it, My dad did work for Bell Telephone for 24 years. I wonder if he could have hacked some kind of a system to get us some of these athletes' phone numbers. I'd be calling up every athlete and getting them on this show if he was still around to steal phone numbers for me. And you know what? My dad would have been like, nope, not doing that for you, kid. Not doing it. Santa Claus hasn't recovered from the battery incident. Well, Santa Claus was the snowball. The batteries were J.D. Drew. And I will reiterate, I was at the battery J.D. Drew game. I was not throwing the batteries, just so you know. I would never do that. But I was there. And I was at the next game. And he made the Bat Boy go out wearing his jersey during warmups. And he warmed up in a Mark McGwire jersey so he could hide from the batteries. And I remember that. My friend threw his TV out the window after the Carter home run. I think my dad cried when that happened. My dad was sick growing up my whole entire life, and he passed away way too young. He probably thought that was the last chance he was going to have to see one of his favorite teams win a championship. He wasn't happy. I think there's probably a curse word too there. But I mean, taking it a little far by finding his home phone number and leaving death threats. So many so that he had to leave. Cilio, I don't know what that emoji is. I can't see it. But he's a clown. And I put it out there last night. You know, I didn't quote tweet him. I don't want to give him too much attention. But he gets thousands and thousands of people a day watching his show. Why? Because he says stupid stuff? Don't we want more from our shows? Don't we want better? Everyone complains nonstop about the bigger name media, locally and nationally. And we talk about this far too. And tomorrow there's going to be a great guest on the show. Steve Najad from the C. Najad Sports Network, Win Daily Sports. He's a gambling expert, but he's a big motivational and power positivity speaker as well. And he's coming on not to talk gambling. He's coming on to talk about the good that he does, the spaces he hosts on Twitter. Like, everybody complains about the negative way that all these guys do things. The Spike Eskins of the world, the Joe Giglios, all these guys, Cilio, Sim. But everybody, I don't watch them. I never turn their shit on. I don't even follow any of these guys. Only time I see their stuff is when people send it to me or share it to me. If we stop giving them the platform, they'll stop getting the platform. Tell them the next time you see somebody complaining about Cilio or the morning show, how bad it is or whatever. Not this one, other one. Tell them, well, you know what? There's a better option for you. Edge of Philly Sports, trending in the AM. Or whatever other show you like. Someone find Tyrell Morey's number? Yeah. Batteries are too expensive to waste on the lights. Yeah, now, absolutely. Damn it. Good thing my feet. I dropped my pen. Got to have my pen in my hand. Got to. There we go. Got it back. I'm glad Johnson is back. He is strong. He even took on Kobe's number 8 to show he isn't soft and there aren't any hard feelings. Look, I was concerned about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson coming back. He left on a bad note, and Eagles fans forgot about the way he went out and he trashed us. He didn't trash the Eagles. He trashed us on the way out the door. I get that. And I was against it. Or I shouldn't say against it. I was concerned with it. But when you hear him making quotes the way he's making, that he's trying to be a vocal leader on the defense, and that secondary is looking fantastic in camp so far. I see it maybe a more mature. Before CJGJ was a vocal, immature player. Now he's a vocal, grown-up leader. And you got to love it. This team needs people to step up into the leadership roles. Remember when fans in ancient Rome watched gladiators fight lions at the Coliseum? Those fans were really crazy. Yeah. You know, mister, every time I watch Gladiator or see anything Roman Coliseum-esque, I think this exact statement. What was the mindset of a human being back in 200 BC? Like what? Like, honestly, I'd be curious if they redid the real-life gladiators, put some death row inmates out there with some lions in the stadium. Would people show up or not? And I kind of feel like they would. Dude, I try to bring Flyers talk when I can. The problem with the Flyers is, been doing this for a couple of years now, geez, and it's very hard to watch every sports show and sports game and sports thing there is and stay up on everything. And some things have had to take the back seat over the last couple of years. The Flyers being so bad made it easy for me to backtrack the Flyers. But people think because I talk the Eagles the most and I talk the Sixers the next most, don't think I like the Flyers. I've been to more Flyers games than Sixers and Eagles games combined in my life. Probably not quite as many Phillies games, but really close to the same amount of Phillies games as Flyers games. That's how much I love the Flyers. And this past year we tried, and Quinyon, who's always in the comments on YouTube, always talks about how all season, how I need to give the Flyers more time. And it's like, it's hard because they were good, but we still knew they weren't buyers, even though they're good. Because Danny Briere and Jonesy were sticking to their plan, that it was a big picture plan. So it is what it is. But they're going to get, once Michkov comes over, and we will stay orange till he comes over on the comments there. We will. It's going to reinvigorate this franchise, fan base, everything. 2 days of no baseball just so we can entertain some darn, it's not loving it. Elephant in the room. Tomorrow we are going to spend a lot of time. I want to save it. It's the offseason. I got to draw out the conversations during the non-football season. So tomorrow is going to start with this London series and all the reasons why I hate it. All right? We are going to talk a lot of the London series tomorrow. We have to. There's a lot of things I like about it and a lot of things I don't like about it. You got to start your show off yelling out, Big Phils! And your number, so that's what I got to do? I'm going to write that down. I'm going to need a new note page for tomorrow. So I'm going to write at the top of my page, Eric. Is that how he starts his shows? I'm going to write the S as a Z, too, to really enunciate the Z, at the end of it. I'm going to write that down, all right? Just so you know. I don't even know if that's how he starts his show. Because, again, I've seen some of his highlight clips because people send it to me, but I've never watched Big Sills show once. More Big Silly Man, Simpleton. Hurts is struggling against all that talent in the secondary in camp. I'm glad he's finally learning the intricacies of a real NFL offense. He will struggle, but it'll pay off. I think this is a great comment. I don't think he struggled per se. He's not looked elite. Secondary's got something to prove. Plus, not only does the secondary, like Darius Slay, have something to prove, but you've got Keely Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, Isaiah Rodgers, Cooper DeJean, all battling for starting level snaps. Okay? And the Eagles are giving them all. We have heard reports of every single person in the slot and the outside with their opposite of Darius Slay. They're all fighting. And there's this energy level amongst them where they're all competing for opportunities. Last year, if Slay came out of the game for a few plays, or when James Bradbury, even though James Bradbury was that bad, when he went down, the last 3 or 4 years, when a cornerback goes down, we had nothing in the cupboard. Now you got Ringo. You haven't heard Rick's name because he's with the 2s and the 3s. He can't even crack that. You got Maddox still. James Bradbury is still here in some form and place. Unfortunately, he's been hurt and can't learn that safety position. The flexibility, this defense. And also, Hurts struggling. I'm not making an excuse for him, but when you got a new offensive coordinator changing things drastically like Kellen Moore is, the offense is going to be behind on reading routes or learning route trees and the new terminology and stuff. So some of the bad passes are miscommunication and stuff like that. But the cornerbacks are battling it out so much. You gotta love what's going on with the defensive backfield with the Philadelphia Eagles. Those Gladiator fans evolved into Philly fans, basically. Well, there are a lot of us Italians in the Philadelphia area. There's a very huge Italian population in this city and surrounding area. I know I am. My name might not be Italian, but I'm more Italian than anything else. Well, I can't wait till tomorrow. I love when I get to dedicate to Phillies, even though it kills the algorithm. When I make I'm going to have some British flag on the algorithm tomorrow or something. I don't know. We'll see. The Flyers were invented over 100 years after the Phillies, yet they have tied. Yeah. Yeah. Over 100 years? I don't know about 100 years. Flyers started in or the Phillies started what, 1880 something? So maybe it wasn't 100 years, but I get the joke. They did. Yep. Facts. Facts. In Rome times, Philly fans were throwing bricks. We weren't waiting for the lions to kill the gladiators. We were throwing bricks at them. Is that what it was? Man. Yeah, I saw the video of Hurts throwing the last 2 days, and he is jacked looking. I'm not worried about the size of his biceps, Adam. People overreact to that stuff all the time. I want to see him complete deep balls. I want him to throw for 4,000 yards, and I want us to win the Super Bowl. I don't care what your arms look like. Just so you know. That's just me. The secondary is crazy. Howie, I know Brandon Graham talked about the right coaches in the right places. But Howie Roseman also went out and saw our deficiency at cornerback and linebacker. We'll talk linebacker in a second here from camp reports. Went out and overcompensated in the secondary and brought in 2 elite cornerbacks. Now, I don't think the plan originally was 2 elite cornerbacks in the draft, in Mitchell and DeJean. Or just fell and gift wrapped it to him. So he got 2 of the 4 best cornerbacks in the draft in the first 40-some picks. So you can't fault Howie for that. Can't do it at all. Guys, while we're talking Eagles here, you got to check out my friends over at PhillySportsTrips.com. If you're a Philly sports fan, you want to travel your favorite team, then travel with the best. PhillySportsTrips.com. They offer premium travel tailgate experiences for the best fans in the world, us Philly/Roman Empire fans. Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers Union, you name it, they do trips, day trips, week trips, half day, all different kinds of things. Bus trips, flights, hotels, you name it, they got it. So go over to PhillySportsTrips.com, sign up, let them know you heard about them on Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly. They got a great trip to Brazil to see the Eagles play the Green Bay Packers week 1. Again, I don't know how I'm going to do this ad read once that's over. But, that's that. If that's too much next week, after London, there's a bus trip up to Boston. There's a day trip down to Baltimore to see the Phillies. And, of course, the Wrigley Field Cubs-Phillies series. Check them out, PhillySportsTrips.com. EOP, Trend the AM sent you. Make sure you do that, guys. Back to the comments. We're laughing at the Roman Empire. Exactly. You never know what's going to be talked about on this show. Today, we're comparing Philly fans to the Roman Empire. So you never know. We're talking gladiators here. What would have this YouTube show been like? Recapping yesterday's gladiator matches at the Coliseum. Hope we can trade some of our D-backs so that we don't have to cut. I think you're all wanting to trade one specifically, and that's it. Finally, another Mitchell on the Eagles. Yes. I think that's the Brazil flag, but I can't tell. Oh, man, it will be a sad day when the promotion will go on. It's just, who will I be promoting them for? Like, what bus trip? It just won't be the same without Brazil. That's it. Phil, I need another ranking list. Wide receivers next. Yeah, I mean, the rankings lists were fun, man, doing my quarterback ranking list. And, guys, you got to head over to Twitter, at Bearded Knowledge or Edge of Philly, because obviously there's, a little movie poll going on here. Me versus David from Philly Eagles News on who drafted a better football team. Now, I am crushing him on the voting on YouTube, but I'm getting crushed on Twitter. So here's the shared screen. Whose football team is better? All right. My team, coached by Coach Jimmy McGinty. My quarterback, saved the universe, Flash Gordon. B.A. Baracus from the A-team at running back, Clifford Franklin. How is Vince Papale, Eagles legend, not leading this? How am I being outvoted 65-35 or 66-34? Nigel Gruff, the leg. Fumiko, the best offensive lineman in the world. Oh, I drafted the great Cali, Flash Gordon, B.A. Baracus, and Vince Papale. That's got to win. Steeman Willie Beeman, his shoulder won't hold up. Forrest Gump, Monte Mack, I get that one. Got to go over here. Vote for me. I'm campaigning to win. No, I can stop that share screen. I can stop self-promoting my stuff. I'm worried about who we release. I want Eli Ricks to stay. It seems we are too deep to keep all our young talent. All right, so we've discussed this topic, but we'll do it again. We'll probably discuss it 4 more times this offseason. I think James Bradbury will either make this team or get cut, but not till later in camp. I think Zach McPherson will get cut or go back on IR if he's not healthy, because we haven't even heard his name this week, so he might not even be healthy. Who is flexible that can play safety will be the key. And if Eli Ricks can figure out a little bit of safety, if Isaiah Rodgers can figure out a little bit of safety, James Bradbury can fill in a little bit of safety. I think Avonte Maddox is on the chopping block as well. Signed a very cheap deal. Very cheap deal. So you could theoretically cut him. Just saying. But Eli Ricks, I would like to keep him. I don't think he gets past to get onto the practice squad either. I did see something, and I'm not an expert on like the CBA rules and contract rules. But something about Avonte Maddox's contract that was signed means if he is cut, we could put him right, or he's not subject to waivers. So if we cut him, he can go right to the practice squad. So Avonte Maddox might to stay with the Eagles, go to our practice squad. There's something there. I read something. I didn't fact check it or anything like that. I read something somewhere about that. Don't even know if it's true. No more Brazil read. We still got a couple more months of it. So the injury bug for the Phillies. Who's injured now? Did somebody else get injured? I mean, JT Realmuto, they're saying it's okay. Ranger Suarez is going to pitch. Marsh went on the IL. Cody Clemens went on the IL. Did somebody else get hurt before this morning? Or while we were on the show? Did they announce something? In Rome times, Philly fans were, I can't even, yeah, Nazarites. That's how you say it. I had to think about the pronunciation there. John 1:46-46. And Nathanael said unto him, can there any good come out of Nazareth? Phil said unto him, come and see. Man, we're talking Roman times, and we're reading biblical scripture on Trending in the AM. 2 things not on my bingo card today. Not at all on my bingo card today. And that's why this is the morning show. The morning show of all morning shows. The only YouTube show where your comments actually matter. And Howie said unto them, trade with me your first and third. Now that's a scripture I could get behind, K1. If anybody can get a first and a third for James Bradbury, it's Howie Roseman. Maddox is going to be on the practice squad. See, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't remember what I read in the rules or how, but there is a way that this can happen where he's not subject. I think if he would go through waivers, someone would probably pick him up because he is got a lot of experience. Ain't Martian? Yeah. Sorry. I thought that was like 3 days ago, 2-3 days ago, Marshawn. Actually, it was before the Brewers series. Before the Brewers series started, they put them on the IL. So I thought you were just mentioning that maybe there was something new that I missed this morning. Just like you tricked me into thinking that Joel Embiid already signed his extension yesterday before the show, or while the show was going on. Which I got to talk about that at some point in time. That I know Joel Embiid will be signing the extension, but I don't necessarily think it's the right idea. Just saying. It's a longer conversation than I got time for today. This show's off the rails always. We are going biblical. Next thing you know, Phil will pass around the collection plate. Well, and you know what I'm just going to say? We're talking about how great this show is, or this show is your show, people. I don't require tips to put your comments up on the screen. A lot of the other shows out, so I say get away from the trash that y'all complain about on the radio or the big names. Go on YouTube. But there's also some YouTubers that think they're bigger than they are. And the only way they address your comments is if you pay for it. You don't got to pay. It's free, this show. All I ask is a simple click of the like button, the subscribe button, the share button. That is all I ask for. That's all I want. That's all I want. I voted for David. Well, again, if you want your ban lifted, Mitchie Poo, you better go create 25 burner accounts and vote for Phil. If I lose this thing, your ban extends past the end of June till week 1 of the NFL season, maybe. Like, if I don't win, Mitchie Poo, it's on you. That's all I'm saying. No way Maddox is there's something in the contract I read. I don't know. I don't remember. That's what I thought. It's not that he's practice squad eligible. He's not subject to waivers. So they can make out a deal before him having to, if he wanted to go to our practice squad to stay. He obviously wanted to stay in Philly. So is there an audio version of this? I can't do anything else on my phone without closing it out. The only way you can listen, like you can listen to on your phone. It's only on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. You can plug and play your phone into your car if you need to do that. But there is no audio version of this. I wish it is, but there's no way to stream this live on like Spotify. And I could upload it after the show on to catch for replays, but this show is all about the live interaction, so I don't do that. And I haven't figured out a way to go live on Spotify or any of those sites yet, so that is not the case. Maybe we'll work on that, finding a way to go live audio-wise. There's got to be some kind of internet radio station or, some low-budget radio station that needs a morning show that you guys could stream it on. If Maddox wasn't so injury-prone, he'd be a top-5 player. I absolutely agree. But I grew 2 best friends on this Eagles team between Avonte Maddox and Dallas Goedert. Great players, but just always injured. And I was complaining about Dallas Goedert's injury last week, and someone's like, well, a lot of them are cheap. It don't matter whether they're cheap shots or not. You can't help the club from the tub. Maddox never is healthy. Neither is. I'm still worried about injuries on this Eagles team because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, never healthy. There's a lot of injury-prone guys on this defense. And it concerns me. That Howie scripture is in the book of Enoch. Someone wrote, and it might have been Bleacher Report, that Teddy Bridgewater's draft compensation or draft comp was Willie Beeman. Beeman. Willie Beeman. As Eric. Yeah, I wish. Someday, I'm going to get a $500 tip. Someday. Links to my PayPal and Venmo are in the description on YouTube and Facebook. But someday, I'm going to get a $500 bonus for this. Someday. It's always on me. It's always on you. Nobody else in life is at fault for anything. If somebody's marriage ends, it's Mitchie Poo's fault. If someone wrecks their car, it's Mitchie Poo's fault. If someone's dog runs away, it's Mitchie Poo's fault. If the Phillies don't win the World Series, it's Mitchie Poo's fault. If Tobias Harris signs a max contract in Philly, it's Mitchie Poo's fault. And I'll end it on that. That's Uncle Phil to you, Mitchie. Yeah. I made a joke that Uncle Phil is the most overrated Phil on TV or in the movies of all time. It was just a joke, but it really offended a lot of people. Yes. Yeah. One final ad read here, guys. Well, not one final, but one more real quick, and that's my friends at cherrytickets.com. Great moments don't just happen. They happen with you in the crowd. Cherrytickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Save even more by using exclusive promo code EOP10 at checkout. And and save 10% extra off. Why use any other ticket reseller? Theater and concert tickets. Look, Kenny Chesney's this weekend. I'm sure you can get great deals on the Kenny Chesney concert this weekend from PhillySportsTrips.com or SherryTickets.com. If you need a more personal touch, give them a call, 610-494-5050, SherryTickets.com. Don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best, SherryTickets.com. Again, promo code EOP10 for 10% off. Plus no hidden fees. Guys, SherryTickets.com. And yes, I know there's a Kenny Chesney concert this weekend. I think it's Saturday. Too old to go to concert. My wife wanted to go and said maybe not. So I think we're going to try to just find on YouTube a Kenny Chesney concert and just put it on the TV and have a driveway party on Saturday night. Anybody want to come to my driveway party to watch a Kenny Chesney concert in my driveway? Have a little good time. Everything is Mitchie's fault. It's Mitch's fault as much as it was Leighton's fault. I think I got a Twitter thread coming here. I'm gonna start this. It's Mitchie's fault. That's going to be a new trend, a new thread and trend. It's Mitchie's fault. That is going to be something on social media. Let me tell you something. There is going to be something with Mitchie Poo. And guys, I have a lot of fun with Mitchie Poo, but my man is a grinder, man. Not as he do stuff with Edge of Philly. He's got his Fly Like a Birds podcast on Thursday nights, 10:15. But he's the founder of the Hardcore Sports Network. They do a lot of wrestling and football and basketball, streaming watch parties and stuff like that. Guys, check out Mitchie Poo, man. Find my man out there. Hardcore Sports Network, Mitchie Poo. Just find them, guys. Find them. They also got them there. Can't see the promo code Mitchie Poo's fault. Exactly. I definitely set up for the final 30 minutes of this show to go extra off the rails. But guys, you are watching Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. Like, subscribe, follow. Find me on social media at Beard and Knowledge. Would greatly appreciate it. Stop complaining about the rest. Tune into the best. Trending in the AM. I've always been your morning show host. You just didn't know it. If I can gain followers, I'm good with it being my fault. Yeah. Hey, I'm the same guy, Mitchie. I don't care. As long as the clicks go up, that's all that matters. You voted for the team. Yeah. You just started watching the morning show regularly this week, and you're already dead to me. Come on now. I got Eagles legend Vince Papale. I got Mr. T to play running back. Flash Gordon literally saved the universe while being the New York Jets quarterback. Literally saved the universe. How can you do any better than somebody that's double teaming it, winning football games and saving the universe? And I'm the only person that had freaking Vince Papale. I mean, it's just clear as day that my team is the coolest. I know my team might not be the most talented, but my team is the coolest. Appreciate you, though, my man. And I love when everybody says hello to each other in the comment section. Mitchie Poo, get a Tobias Harrell Crumble Cookie jersey for merch, and the followers will come. Yeah, that's right. You should get a jersey with the logo, a Crumble Cookies on the front, and and Harris's name on the back. Maybe Tobias or Daryl Morey's face on it too. I love it. S&P down another 2%. Oh, if my stocks go down anymore, yeah, it's definitely if my retirement fund's going down, it's definitely on Mitchie Poo. It's definitely on Mitchie Poo. Whoever wins the presidency, it's Mitchie Poo. If you don't like whoever wins the presidency, it's Mitchie Poo's fault. Everything is Mitchie Poo's fault. I don't even know where to go from there. I don't. Let me look at some of the notes I took from reading things of yesterday's practice. Note 1 I wrote down. Cooper DeJean, Keely Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, all playing with the first team cornerbacks, along with Isaiah Rodgers. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, very vocal. We already touched on that a little bit. I don't even know what that... it looks like I wrote down Barks catching. Oh, Saquon Barkley catching more passes out of the backfield. Great. Here's 2. Dallas Goedert lost a lot of weight. Looks more like a wide receiver is something that's coming out. Maybe that helps him stay healthy, being a little slimmer. Maybe not. I don't know. John Ross. There's an interesting one. We just kind of scoffed at him being here. I mean, he's really fast, but never really did anything else. But reports are that he has gotten some run in the slot with the first string team, first string offense, and is actually making some plays. Could John Ross end up being something on this team? You've got, obviously, AJ and Devontae. You got Paris Campbell. You got John Ross. You got Smith and Wilson, the 2 rookies. And you got Britton Covey. You got 8 wide receivers now because John Ross is doing well. The 2 main, hold on. Paris Campbell, Covey, the 2 rookies, John Ross. 7 or 8 wide receivers. Only 5 or 6 are going to come to make the team. But the fact that they're letting him get run and he is making plays with the ones tells me maybe there's a chance. We've heard a lot of people talk about that Britton Covey might not make this team. I think he should, but he might not. They've got John Ross learning kick returning. New kick return rules. New kick return rules means you need somebody fast that can run back kicks. Maybe John Ross as a kick returner slash fifth wide receiver on this team is not a bad idea. Is John Ross going to be better than Britton Covey? I don't know. But there's a chance. Gump was a war hero, national champion, successful businessman. Hey, you know what? You were listening to the episode. You were watching it live. When David described the reason for Gump being the new kickoff return rules, I was like, come on now. That's perfect answer right there. And Tech, you could probably agree that me and David's teams should be battling out for the championship, not in round one. Both of our teams are better than Ryan and Deeb's teams. Both of them. No way, no shape, no debate there. So Deeb's and Ryan colluded and put me versus David in the first round. Just so you know. So which excellent pair are you rooting for in the Cup's finals? I'm going with Edmonton women. Dude, I love it. I love it, man. I couldn't even have told you. I forgot Edmonton was in it. I'll root for Edmonton, the Oilers. They're going up against Florida, right? So, yeah. I more want to make a prediction on the NBA Finals, Mavericks, Celtics. I believe tonight's game 1, right? Yeah, tonight, 8:30, game 1. I'll be watching some of it. Boston 6.5-point favorites. I think Dallas steals this game. If Dallas has any chance of winning the NBA Finals, they got to win game 1 tonight. Boston's a 6.5-point favorite. I'll take the 6.5 points and Dallas. I won't take the Dallas money line, but I'll take the plus 6.5 tonight. Kyrie, Luka versus Tatum and Brown. It is going to be an entertaining, great finals. At least I think it is. I think it goes 6 or 7 games. I hope Dallas wins the series. I don't think they do. They have to win tonight to have a chance. I think they cover tonight. But they have to win tonight to have a chance. But if I have to be realistic, I hate myself for saying this, but I think the Boston Celtics win the championship. I'm going to go Boston Celtics in 7, but that's subject to change if Dallas pulls out the victory in game 1. John Ross camp body? Probably, but sometimes camp bodies turn to actual guys on a team. Maybe John Ross is a camp body and goes to the practice squad. Nobody's wanted him. He wasn't even on a team last year. This is the first time in a long time that I'm more confident in our secondary or defensive line. Jake, I think that's a very fair and valid point to make. I really do. Quinton is a huge Tobias Harris fan. Well, so was I for a long time. Even I went off the train for a little while. John Ross is our offensive offseason Ben Simmons highlight player of. Okay, I get what you're saying. He's going to be. Remember when Jalen Reagor made that huge falling backwards one-handed catch, and everyone's like, "This is going to be the Jalen Reagor year." Is that John Ross this year? I think that's maybe the better comparison. I'd like to see Hurts more under center so he can learn to rely more on timing out of 3, 5, 7-step drops. I think he holds the ball too long. And we talked about this. Let me find the notes there it is. After day 1 of practice 2 days ago, Doug Nussmeier, the quarterback, Nussmeier, whatever, quarterback coach says he wants the teams to get the ball out, the quarterbacks to get the ball out in 2.3 seconds. And they were running extra drills on getting the ball out fast. So I agree with you on this. And I think they're making a legit effort to do that. Resign 12. I see the smile in your profile picture. I think you're laughing as you're typing this. I don't care about cheap viewers on Twitch. I hate that I can't block Twitch viewers for spamming. Go Mavs. Agreed, Barbara. I'm rooting for the Mavs. I think the Mavs have a chance. But if I'm being realistic, I got to select Boston. Maybe I'm using some reverse psychology here, and I'm always wrong. So I'm picking Boston, so hopefully the Mavs win. We got Eric saying Mavs in 6. Got to win game 1, Eric, for this to have any chance. Basically what has to happen, they have to win 1, lose game 2, win both in Dallas to be up 3-1, if you want that to happen. Could they? Sure. Better get that W tonight. Because they're not going to win 3 in a row, 2, 3, and 4. So they got to win tonight and then hope they can take both games down to Dallas. Whichever happens, Phil will blame it on Mitchie Poo. everything. I'm telling you, there's going to be a Twitter thread after this show at some point today of a new thing. Blame it on Mitchie Poo. What's up, Freddie? Team John Ross right here. Hey, we love the underdog. The Paul Turner, John Ross is the next Paul Turner, the next Travis Fulgham. I was right on Travis Fulgham. Just so you know, when everybody else was out there hating or loving Travis, I'm like, yo, guys. Travis Fulgham's not. I was right. I hate being right sometimes, but I was right on that one. Rooting for Dallas. I don't want Tatum crying and fail baiting games. Yeah, honestly, I could care less who wins. I just want a well-officiated series. We know it's not going to happen, but I want a well-officiated. Is it too much to ask for the NBA to just give us a well-officiated series for the championship? Has Hurts been under center in camp? I don't know, but I'm going to write this down in my notes, and I'm going to DM a couple guys. Hurts under center. I will message Chris Franklin, Ed Kratz, Martin Frank, one of the guys I have good relationships with. I'll message them after the show, and I'll find that information out for you. They've been at all the practices. I'll ask them. We'll see what they have to say. I have no idea. Well, we're going to find out, Tech. We're going to find out tomorrow. Fulgham catfished. He catfished 98% of Eagles Nation. And I made money off of it when I was still with my original startup, AAT Birds at the time. And I created shirts. Wentz Fulgham 2020. Like an election type design. And we sold a dozen of them because people were so into Travis Fulgham. I bet you there's Wentz Fulgham shirts all over the Delaware Valley. And I told everybody, I'm going to capitalize on the financial aspect of it, but it ain't worth it. He ain't that good. You got to remember, he had Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers as his quarterbacks before and after the Eagles and couldn't find success. It was a little random burst. But maturity and desire to work for it was not there. He wanted to be spoon-fed. He was the type of kid that today's generation is where they just want it all given to them. They don't want to work for it. That's his problem. John McMullen said Hurts wasn't good again yesterday. He's holding the ball still. There were reports. I know he was like 12 of 16 day one, no touchdowns and interception. Yesterday, I think it was 15 of 20 or 12 of 18, something like that. No touchdowns and interception. Yesterday was a worse day for him than day one. But again, when you got a new offense and new defense coordinator, the defense is going to learn a lot quicker because there were some similarities in the schemes. Offense, it's completely new. Everything's different. So there's gonna be some learning curve. And Nick Sirianni did talk about that the reason why it's mandatory because this week is because they can have more meetings. They can have more film study and more like playbook studying in person with these guys by making it mandatory so that when they get to training camp in July, that they're in a better place and they can focus on fine-tuning versus teaching. So I like that. But you got to understand there's going to be some hiccups early on. Those Wentz Fulgham shirts are waxing cars this very day. Probably. It's absolutely too much to ask for the NBA not to fix the games, those Knicks games. We're entering David's. I absolutely agree. That's what I want. It's what we deserve. And I'm going to turn on the series tonight, game one, and I'm going to see 15 minutes of really bad refereeing, and I'm probably going to turn it off. Wish I could work, but they discriminate and try to use my record for you. What? I don't even know what that means, but good luck there. I will never say anything bad about Wentz. Tech, I agree 1,000%. Tech, you don't know me well, but I said it 1,000 times on this show and other shows. I still got my Wentz jersey upstairs. And there will come a day where I won't get egged for wearing it. Okay? I cannot wait till the day to wear my Carson Wentz gear again. We do not win the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz. In theory, this is a bold take. In theory, Carson Wentz was a better quarterback than Nick Foles. Big picture. More skills. Nick Foles had that heart. He had that Shane Falco in him. You know? That's basically what he was. It was a magical run, Nick Foles. Absolutely. But we get there because of Carson Wentz. That team, I mean, people forget Carson Wentz was going to win the MVP if he didn't get hurt. So, yeah. Andy Reid is going to fix Carson Wentz. I forgot about that. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Carson Wentz is going to get a Super Bowl ring. Maybe. Backing up Patrick Mahomes. Sure. One other thing I want to talk about, but I'm going to write it in tomorrow's notes to kick off the show with it, the linebackers. Back to my notes from today. There's a lot of talk of Devin White excelling in this new defense. And he's talking a lot about how comfortable he feels. And he's batting balls. He's getting interceptions. He's sacking Jalen Hurts. He's being used all over the defense. Everybody bashed the Devin White move because he's washed. Devin White's 26 years old. He's a former All-Pro. And yeah, he might not be All-Pro level anymore. But Devin White is still better than every linebacker that played on this team last year. And if this defense in the secondary is as good as it seems to be in 2 days, again, we're making all these assumptions off of 2 days of minicamp. Okay? But if he's as good as the assumptions are coming, this defense is going to be set at linebacker. He says he doesn't want this to be a one-year deal. He wants to, this is a prove-it deal for Devin White, but he wants to prove it so he can stay here in Philly long-term. Zach Bond, Lloyd Braun, whatever you want to call him, has pretty much put himself in the clubhouse lead to be the other starting linebacker. I was confused with the move. Like, didn't need another special teams linebacker. But Bond and White might be exactly what we had 2 years ago with T.J. Edwards and Kazir White. Now, let's just hope if they are, Howie retains them and doesn't let them walk after 1 year. 9 career playoff plays, yeah. Hey, Jadeveon Clowney, you can blame Jadeveon Clowney for that. When we win that game with him, not Josh McCown as quarterback, well, then he got hurt too in the game, played with like a torn hamstring or something. I get it, though. I get it. This is why I pay no mind to OTAs or minicamps. Lots of these analysts makes a big thing out of nothing. Absolutely. I use it for content, sure. I try to find the positives in what we're reading. I try to look past the positives and the negatives and try to formulate a real opinion on it. Like, Hurts underthrew a guy. Let's cut him. No. Well, why did he underthrow the guy? Was the route run right? Was Jalen Hurts' timing on the route off? Let's see what's going on. It's fun, but you also have to be able to read between the tea leaves of what's going on in these camps. But the fact that they're mandatory and the reason behind them being mandatory, I think is good. Devin White wants to be an Eagle long term. That's what I hope he is. I hope he is. Because if he is, that solves an issue we've had for a long time, which is the linebacker position. The last time we had consistency, not just talking good linebacker play, but consistency. When was the last time a linebacker started back-to-back years? Alex Singleton? Nigel Bradham? Were they the last guys that were multiple-year starters? Like, we've literally just kept rotating the last 2-3 years. Linebackers in and out the door. It's Zach Bond, and I'm comparing it because of the name Lloyd Braun from Seinfeld. Serenity now! That's kind of what I'm hitting at. We are low-key much improved on defense, younger, faster, hungry. I think this defense is going to surprise a lot of people. Really are. Concerned about the leadership on the defense, but that'll work itself out. But I think this defense is set up with, and also, and mind you, set up for multiple years. Eric, because just like Devin White wants to be an Eagle long term, Vic Fangio doesn't have any intentions of leaving to go be a head coach anywhere. Vic Fangio wants this to be his last job in the NFL. He's not ready to retire, but he wants this defensive coordinator position in Philly to be his last job. He's been around for a long time. He's going to bring a lot of experience, a lot of discipline. And when you've got a younger, faster, hungrier defense, you need discipline from your defensive coordinator. You're going to get that. Not the players running the asylum. Fangio's running the asylum on the defensive side of the ball. He's the de facto head coach of the defense. So while they're younger, hungrier, faster, you've also got the old-timer that's going to reel that in and mold and create. I have a feeling that this Eagles defense is going to be drastically better in 2024. Because not only are they younger, hungrier, faster, at key positions, they got depth as well. I hope Ross can win the third wide receiver and produce. I heard Dallas is back to be targeted in short yards plays too. Look, John Ross is a great camp body that maybe you found a diamond in the rough. Maybe. I mean, everybody's going to look good opposite of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, right? I love Seinfeld too. I mean, I took it down, but I have a Festivus poll here that I put up around Festivus every year. I don't decorate my background for Christmas. I decorate my background for Festivus. And I maybe misspelled the Braun part. I guess you got the Lloyd Braun joke. I'll sneak Seinfeld references in very quietly at time to time. People won't pick up on them. Exactly, Eric. The secondary combined with Vic Fangio, who is coverage savant, is going because a lot of problems with such an athletic backfield. Okay, I get it. Sorry, I misread this. The secondary combined with Vic Fangio, who is a coverage savant, is going to cause a lot of problems for other teams. I always say, Eden, the reason why the Eagles had 70 or whatever it is sacks 2 years ago, it was because our secondary played at an elite level. And I'm not saying we're going to get 70 sacks in 2024. But what I am going to say is that if the secondary is as good as we're hoping it is, as it appears to be trending in the direction of, that defensive front 4-5 is going to be great. It is. And you got to love that. Got to love that. Guys, final sponsor of the show today, Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park. 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park, right off I-95, south of Philly Airport, is a bar. The quintessential Irish-American dive bar for the last 65 years in Delco, in the Ridley Park area. Great food, great music, great drinks, great times. They're always giving away memorabilia. You never know, a Philly icon, sports icon, might walk through the door. So go to Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park, DolansBar.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Check them out. Tell PJ, EOP, and Trending in the AM is where you heard about them first. Maybe we'll get them open up early one morning. And we'll do a live Trending in the AM from Dolan's Bar in the morning one day. I don't know what would be the agenda to have an 8 a.m. live show, get a bar to open up at 8 a.m. to do a show. But I'll talk to Big Al about that. Maybe we'll get Trending in the AM from Dolan's Bar one morning. That would be a blast. Our defense last season was held together with duct tape with all the injuries. This season, very different. Young studs, but depth. Like, we didn't have depth. When Avonte Maddox went down, and we knew Avonte Maddox was going to go down, there was no one to step in. You know, when Reed Blankenship missed time, or Sidney Brown got hurt, no depth. We've got depth in the secondary. There's literally 10 guys that could make this team for 7 spots. It's great to have that competition. There is going to be a cornerback or safety cut that gets picked up instantly, that deserves a roster spot. We'll be picking 6 in the league. Pick 6 in the league. Gotcha. I hope the Eagles have someone in mind to replace Fangio when the time comes. Let the mentorship begin now. I don't think that time's coming tomorrow or next year. I hope, as long as all goes well, Tech, it's that Fangio's here for the next 2 to 4 years. But yes, if it's the short end, the 1 or 2 year thing, better be grooming somebody. I'm more concerned that they should be grooming someone to be the offense coordinator next year. Because one of 2 things, Tech's going to happen on offense. The offense is going to thrive, and Kellen Moore's going to get a head coaching job. Or B, the offense is going to look good, but we're going to fail as a team. Nick Sirianni's get fired, and Kellen Moore's going to become the head coach. So in my opinion, next year, either Kellen Moore will be our head coach, or Kellen Moore will be head coach at somewhere else. Which means we're going to need another offense coordinator next year. So Kellen Moore better be grooming the next offensive coordinator. That's a more short-term issue for me than Fangio's eventual replacement. Eagles going to be on primetime television a lot in 2024. They can't play messy like 23 and embarrass themselves on national TV. Yeah, I think they're third. Mister, it's been a while since I've looked at the schedule. I think they're third in most primetime games this year. I think so. I think they have the most 4 o'clock. I consider the 4:25 primetime. They're the best. I think that's the game of the week. Whatever's 4:25, that's the primetime game to me. That's the game of the week. They got a bunch of those as well. I got a guy, Sean Desai. Yeah. What is Sidney Brown's status? I mean, he's working on side fields from what I'm hearing. He's not working out with the team. Like 2 to 4 weeks ago, I read a report that he was slightly ahead of schedule. I originally thought late October would have been when Sidney Brown came back, November maybe. And when he does come back, it's probably just going to be on special teams anyway. We need him because their safety lacks depth. That's why they're trying so many guys out at safety. Avonte Maddox, James Bradbury, etc. I haven't heard any new updates since like a month ago when they said he was a smidge ahead of schedule. But he is doing workouts on the side field. So that's a positive. He's there with the team. That's positive. I don't expect anything from him this year. I expect this to be a borderline red shirt type year for him. Out but on time, recovering. Yeah. I would expect middle of the season for him. Great point about Moore moving out. Yeah, look, he's not going to be the offensive coordinator, but for 1 year. Jeffrey Lurie brought him in because he loves him, and he loves the young offensive mind as the head coach. He is either going to be the head coach of the Eagles next year or the head coach somewhere else next year. Just depends on how much success this team has. Whose team he's head coaching next year. Eden, see you next time, my man. For sure. It's great to have you. We're about to wrap this up. We're in the final 2 minutes anyway of this show. What team will Bradbury be in this year? I still got it about 50-50 that he's going to be on the Eagles this year. Them showing that they were going to try him at safety. Unfortunately, he got hurt pretty quickly into that thing. Tells me that they value James Bradbury, at least as a camp body. Okay? And if he can get healthy and start playing safety and perform decently at safety, we've only got 3 safeties on this team right now. And one, Sidney Brown, is out. So you got Reed Blankenship, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You got nobody else. So James Bradbury could figure out the safety position. Why not? But most likely he's cut. Or he performs well in camp and gets traded. I don't know. I truly believe Nick Sirianni is walking on eggshells this season. Can no one tell me differently? Maybe deep down inside he is. Yeah, he knows. I think there's truly pressure, Jose, but I don't agree that he's on the pressure that he could get fired by week 5 or 6. Like he's going to get the entirety of the season. And a question is, how far do the Eagles have to go? I'm writing this down to keep Sirianni. Is a loss in the NFC Championship game good enough to keep Nick Sirianni? Does he have to get to the Super Bowl? Does he have to win a Super Bowl? What's the, like, if Howie sat down with Nick Sirianni, they probably didn't say it specifically like this, but Howie's like, yo, Nick, you get 1 more year. You've got to do X or you'll be fired. Curious. I hope Bradbury works out safety. I do too. If Bradbury's not going to work out at safety, they better go get Justin Simmons. They need another safety. Even if they get Maddox or Bradbury to play safety, or Ringo or Ricks or whoever. I think I read that even Isaiah Rodgers lined up a safety for a few plays, like in a dime form. No, Quinyon Mitchell lined up as a linebacker in the dime for me. Okay, gotcha. I'm thinking things differently here. But we still need safety help. We do. Drastically. Guys, we got to wrap up the show right there today. Guys, Trending in the AM, Edge of Philly Sports. Like, subscribe, share, follow. It is free to do it. Does not cost you a thing. I'm here live 5 days a week for you guys. Got to get the viewership up even higher. There have been requests for me to go to 2 hours. I'm not there yet. But if the viewership can get up, we will go to 2 hours someday. Maybe occasionally, once a week, we'll go to 2 hours. But I need you guys to work it up for me. I need you guys to do the things you can do to promote this. Stop paying attention to Simpleton and Silly Man and WWIP and the Spike. Pay attention to Edge of Philly and pay attention to Train the AM. This is where it's at right here. Thank you very much, Tech. I appreciate you tuning in today, my man. But with that being said, I am Phil Stiefel. This is Trending the AM on Edge of Philly Sports. Have a great day, guys. Go Birds. Ring that bell. And as always, guys, bubbles up.